Welcome back to YDG Cowboys. And of course, YDG stands for You're Doing Good Cowboys. I know you guys are still upset about the outcome of the game. Per inside source, and this is somewhat breaking news, that Jerry Jones had a behind the scenes with the door closed meeting with the team. Private, no media, no camera crew. Now, outside of that meeting, a few of the media was able to talk to some of the players. And with that being said, a couple of things came out, but we'll get back to that. Something pretty serious per inside sources. Now, this team had it. They had it in their grasp to win. There was no excuses at all. None. Mike McCarthy choked as a coach. Dan Quinn choked as a defensive coordinator. Dak Prescott he came around. He choked too. He came around at the end, but that was garbage time. Michael Parsons, after going back and looking at the game and giving him my assessment, yeah, he was held, but he didn't show up either. He played hard, but he didn't. He needed, as I said before, that Kobe and Michael Jordan game. He needed 2 or 3 sacks. He needed some pressures, which he didn't get a lot of. And he needs some tackles for losses, which he didn't get. It was one of the biggest letdown in Cowboy history as an NFL organization team. Now, from going back in history and what from watching Jerry Jones after each game or after each letdown, how he reacts, you have to pay close attention to that. And this time, with him not saying anything, there's going to be some changes. And I hear you, Dak. What did he say? If you fire Mike McCarthy, well, you should fire him too. Now, I'm a Dak Prescott advocate. I watched him in Mississippi State. He's always been a fighter. He's always been that guy who was up against all odds. He never started. He always come in off the bench. And once he came in off the bench, he took over. He became a Heisman Trophy runner-up who put Mississippi State in the top 5 as far as rankings. Same thing in high school, same thing in college, and same thing in the NFL. When he got his opportunity, he took full advantage of it. He succeeded. But Dak, there comes a time, man, where you're going to have to overcome these obstacles. Because, it's going to always be something where there's the media, the fans, four-letter network is going to have a lot to say. And this time, you can't hide. There's no excuse. You failed. Now, do I think Mike McCarthy should get fired? Of course. It doesn't matter if he's 12-5. We had the personnel. And I think another coach can come right in with experience and get us to 12-5 again. And it doesn't matter to me if we go 10-7 or 11-6. As long as we go past the second round in the playoffs, that doesn't matter. Because that's where champions are built in playoff scenarios. And here lately, the Cowboys don't have anything like that. So do I think Mike McCarthy should be fired? Yes, of course. Of course. Dan Quinn, he was the golden child. Defensive coordinator, everybody wanted him. And as I go back and do some research with him, he is that same guy from Atlanta Falcons that choked in the Super Bowl. How do you let a team come in your house and score 48 points? 27-0. What was it, second quarter, first half? That's ridiculous. So do I think Dan Quinn needs to exit? Of course. He sure does. He sure does. We need a coach in here with discipline. We have a lot of players that have their own brands, selling hats, beanies, bags. On podcasts. Micah, you predicted scores the week before on who was going to win in the playoffs. But yet and still you didn't show up. Yeah, you got a couple of holding calls, but you still didn't show up. DeMarcus Lawrence, where were you? They played a few players that I thought that they shouldn't have been playing as much. Dante Fowler should have got way more playing time, and he did than what he got. Marquise Bell is not a linebacker. Again, that's a Dan Quinn flaw. Put in a 190-pound safety at linebacker who just kind of completely demolished. The Packers running back just continue to run the ball at free will. And if Hankins was hurt, he shouldn't have been playing. Or he should have gave at least a little bit more effort, or we should have played him more. It's just at some point, we got to stop being what you call expecting, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And y'all do know what the definition of that is. Insanity, right? So Cowboy Nation, to go back to the breaking news, some of the players are saying, or inside source said, they're not giving any names, that Dak Prescott tends to panic after the first read. Now listen what I'm saying. This is per inside source today from Mike Fisher. And is an anonymous player that was in the locker room during an exit interview. Also, another anonymous source, anonymous player, and you can consider these are rats, but it is what it is, saying that the defense, Dan Quinn, was too stubborn to adjust. He wanted to do it his way and only his way. And we didn't know what to do with motion offenses. So Cowboy Nation, be prepared. When Jerry Jones is quiet, something's about to happen. And yes, I'm ready. I hope you are. YDG, stand up. Cowboy Nation, stand up.